Shazam! Hey everyone, Kevin Gootee, Gutting the Sacred Cow. Here we are, a new week, a new episode. This week, Ray Stakenas from the Who Would Win podcast has the temerity to come on and do Kevin Israel and my favorite cartoon of all time, Transformers, but the 2007 live-action Michael Bay one. Does Ray have the goods to take down boys of the 80s favorite cartoon heroes film? We'll see. In the meantime, Gutting the Sacred Cow, check out our website. We've got a brand new layout. It's really cool. And of course, you can buy t-shirts like this one. That's right, real cool Gutting the Sacred Cow t-shirts, hats, bags, mugs, cups, cell phone covers even too. I don't know. They have everything over there. Gutting the Sacred Cow every day. Don't forget that as well. Articles, blogs, Monday through Friday, list of 10. Lastly, if you have not yet done so, please a 5-star rating, a 2-sentence review on your favorite podcast platform. Actually, a bonus one. And if you want to advertise with us, do a promotion with us, email us, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com. We would love to help build your business or brand up. And without any further ado, here's Ray Stakenas doing 2007's Transformers.
Gather round, here's what I know. It's just that this cow has got to go. I know some people kinda like it, yeah, it's trending right now. Yeah, that doesn't matter, 'cause we're gutting the sacred cow.
Did you have it? I'm sorry, John. I don't remember. Kevin Israel, name that film.
I have no idea.
My wife just yelled it from the goddamn living room, Kevin Israel. Shame on you. Ray, would you happen to know that film?
I've got it. I don't want it. What was the quote again?
Did you have it? I'm sorry, John. I don't remember.
It sounds like a Die Hard quote, but that's as far as I got.
Wrong. It is Rounders, 1998.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
Well, that's
Good
your
movie.
loss because that film is a fucking classic, and I will not stand anyone trying to slander that great film. Kevin
I don't think
Gootee.
anybody was slandering it. I think I just
No.
said I didn't see it. You're very defensive, Kevin, today.
I'm cranky. I'm very tired. Kevin Gootee, Kevin Israel, how are you guys today? I hope you're enjoying us. I hope you're enjoying Gino Bisconti doing Uncut Gems. I know we got Gino out of his shell for an episode, and he got a little bit riled up, so we say.
Speaking of low energy, Gino was really he was a downer that night, huh?
Yeah, listen, he only had 5 lines of cocaine. Kevin Gootee, Kevin Israel, and we are joined today by a man I just recently became friendly with because none other than James Gasly, who did the episode Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, kind enough to invite me on his show, Who Would Win? Everyone give it up for Ray. I should ask how to pronounce it. I say, is it Stakenas?
It is Stakenas. You got it
Hey-o.
100% correct.
Ray Stakenas joins us from Who Would Win. Ray, how are you today, sir?
Every day is a gift, and I am proud to be sharing this gift with all of you.
Sounds like you just got out of rehab.
No, I
Or a
just refuse
cult.
to go.
Ray has decided to choose a film that is going to anger a lot of people our age, Kevin Israel, the 2007 mega hit Transformers, a budget in 2007 of $147 million, bringing a haul only domestically $709.7 million. Now, turn that into 2020 dollars, $187 million budget, $900 million flat. Worldwide,
Just short of
it
a
did.
billion.
Oh well, worldwide it did. I think.
Oh,
2
I mean,
billion.
yeah.
Yeah, it did fuck you money. IMDb, as we know, Kevin Israel, but I will explain for Ray, is of course a score from 1 to 10 with decimal points, and I will allow our guests to go first and guess what did Transformers get on IMDb?
I would go ahead and put my guess. People have no taste, so potentially a 6.7.
Kevin Israel,
Yeah, I was gonna say 6-1.
7 flat.
Wow.
7 flat. There it is.
Rotten Tomatoes is a percentage score, 1 through 100. Kevin Israel, critics, Rotten Tomato score.
Critics, I'm gonna go 5.8.
Ray,
Oh, I think it's way under that. I would go maybe 32.
Kevin Israel, you have won both showcases. 58 on the nose.
Wow.
Audience score. Ray, what did the audience think of Transformers?
Here's where the dummies chime in. I'm going to say probably about an 80.
Kevin?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that high. I'm going to say 72.
85. Flip
Wow.
the critics score and the audience score around, and that's what you have. Quotes. Transform and roll out. Guys, if you didn't get a boner in that theater, you have no soul. And another one that also was tumescent for me. You failed me yet again, Starscream. Kevin Israel quotes.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man. And the first time they said, I think there's more that meets the eye with you.
Oh. And how many times did they bring that one home? 3.
Oh,
Two or three.
and for honorable mention, I think we blew a transformer.
Yeah.
I had a notable quote where they actually put it on record, bros before hoes, man. And that is, wow, that's just putting it right where they want it to be.
Michael Bay, modern day William Shakespeare. You did not know that? Shame on you.
This movie is not scared of what it was.
No, it went right in and didn't give a...
It punches you in the face and just keeps punching you.
Like the old Rock'em Sock'em robots. 5 fun facts.
5 fun facts.
Megatron in the 1984 cartoon that we all know and love was a Walther P-38 pistol, but the writers felt like it was, quote, having Darth Vader transform into his own lightsaber and someone else swinging him around. So he was given a more realistic alien design and made more hideous to make him seem more menacing, and became a jet.
I didn't like that decision, by the way.
I fucking hated that decision.
And the scene where Starscream and Megatron first encounter each other, this goes kind of across the board with all of them, but it's hard to tell who's who.
Yep.
They both have like monstrous faces, and I'll get into it in my notes. Anyway, continue.
Number 2, producer Don Murphy originally wanted the film to feature 7 Autobots: Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Ironhide, Jazz, Ratchet, Prowl, and Wheeljack. Sounds like a nice lineup, doesn't it, guys? Against 8 Decepticons: Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, Ravage, Laserbeak, Rumble, Skywarp, and Shockwave. Again, that's a 1927 Yankees Murderers Row right there.
Perfect.
Only 7 of those Transformers, 5 Autobots and 2 Decepticons, made it into the film. But Soundwave and Ravage made it into the second film, and Laserbeak and Wheeljack, renamed Q, made it into the third film.
I'll always be disappointed that Rumble didn't make. Always thought Rumble was one of the most entertaining, especially for the cassette.
First we cracked the shell, then we cracked the nuts inside. My brother is going to be listening to this and screaming the entire way along. So here we go. And Blaster too. Come on, a white guy rapping as a radio. Stop. You had me at hello. Veteran voice actor Frank Welker, who voiced the Decepticon leader Megatron, among other characters, in Transformers 1984, was approached to reprise the role, but had to turn it down due to conflicts with other projects. Michael Bay also felt his voice was too light for Megatron's new beastly look, and so Hugo Weaving took the role of Megatron. I hated this decision. I
hate every decision they made with Megatron.
And I would say, that might be the official story that, I had conflicts. No. They said, to my understanding on the record, we think Frank Welker sounds too old to play the role of Megatron here. And I will take Frank Welker on a ventilator at the age of 107 playing the role of Megatron over anybody else in the world. So I appreciate that Frank tried to be like, I had other stuff to do. No, you didn't. Michael Bay screwed you, and I'm still angry about it.
Frank, you were not doing some bullshit Comic-Con in Omaha, Nebraska. You got the fucking hose is what you got.
To me, what they did with Megatron was tantamount to casting Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
That's an analogy.
Strong.
Number 4, Griffith Observatory is a private area, and its authorities were initially reluctant to allow shooting to go on with the film. However, the filmmakers were able to get permission, though through its officials, Leonard Nimoy and Susan Bay Nimoy, Nimoy's wife, to whom Michael Bay is related, to shoot the Autobots' arrival to Earth and their council. Nimoy had voiced Megatron's successor, Galvatron, in Transformers, the cartoon film, which made a 10-year-old Kevin cry his fucking eyes out. And also to voice Optimus Prime's predecessor, Sentinel Prime, in Transformers, Dark of the Moon. An egregious piece of shit. Number 5.
Can I add one thing before you go to number 5, Kevin? Because another fun fact I can add. In the animated movie, Transformers, the good one, Leonard Nimoy did
great
not just,
one.
Thank you. The only one. He did not just play Galvatron because Orson Welles died before he finished recording all of his lines as Unicron.
Right.
So what they actually did was Leonard Nimoy recorded whatever they needed to pick up, and then they slowed it down a whole lot to help mimic the idea of Orson Welles in there. So technically speaking, and I don't know if it was credited or not, but he played 2 roles in that movie. He's a G.
Want to take a guess? I'll give each a guess. Who auditioned for the role of Michaela, played by, of course, Megan Fox? 2, I'll give you a hint. Both. One is I would say borderline A-lister. The other one is a B-lister. At the time, not really hitting their strides yet, but one certainly has. 2 guesses one guess per person. Ray, start off. Who auditioned for the role of Michaela?
Off the top of my head, I would guess Jessica Alba. That'd be one of my guesses.
Sorry, she's too busy making coconut milk. Kevin Israel?
I have no idea. I don't know. I can't even throw one out.
Amanda Seyfried and Emma Stone.
I was, you know what? I blanked on Emma Stone's name because I know how much you love her. And that's actually who I was thinking of, but I couldn't remember if she would have been in the right age range at that point. She was probably pretty young at that point.
Yeah, this was the first great choice Michael Bay made, was putting Megan Fox in this film. And Lorenzo di Bonaventura intended for, ready for this? Liam Neeson to voice Optimus Prime. However, Michael Bay heard Peter Cullen's audition and was impressed and cast Cullen as Optimus Prime, the original fucking voice of Optimus Prime that we all fucking love. He was impressed by his audition. Suck my dick, Michael Bay. Suck my dick.
That's like making a movie about the Bible and having Jesus come into audition and be like, you know what? I think you got the part.
We'll get back to you. We're going to do a couple more. We're just going to see a few more people.
We got Caviezel coming in just a little bit.
Yeah, we got this guy from Passion. He's pretty good.
We loved him in Frequency. God, he put on a killer performance. Yeah, that's like going to Del Frisco's and going, this steak's pretty good. This steak's damn near perfect. But you know what? Let me come in here and show you what I can do. Fuck you. And a bonus fun fact, because I make this a point in my notes. Originally, the Matrix of Leadership was supposed to be the powerful artifact the Transformers were searching for, but the writers thought it sounded too similar to the Matrix in 2009 and renamed it the Allspark, parentheses. The concept itself was a hybrid of the Matrix, the Energon cubes from the television series, and the cube-shaped artifact, the Underbase, from the 1980s comics. The Matrix would appear in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, with its purpose altered to being a key to activate the Solar Harvester machine. Fuck you.
I can't even tell you how much I hated that movie.
Listen, I can't believe this, and we're going to get into it, I know. It's almost unfathomable and almost lottery ticket kind of odds that each sequel managed to outsuck its predecessor to the point where after seeing I forgot what the 4th one was called. That was one with the Dinobots. And I said, he can't fuck up Dinobots.
Something about the night.
No, that was the last one. You can't fuck up Dinobots. That's going to be great. Michael Bay gave us the goddamn Vin Diesel rape scene in Pulp Fiction by putting the Dinobots in it for a lusty 10 minutes. What the fuck are you doing? And I didn't see last.
Yeah, I think the name of that movie was actually Transformers: You're still paying for this shit?
I walked out of that theater and said, you actually are going to make me never pay another dollar to see another Transformers Michael Bay edition. And I didn't see last night in the theater. I waited till Netflix. And then I paid to see Bumblebee, and that sucked too.
Bumblebee was worth it for the first 10 minutes.
100%. And then the second time where they visit in a flashback back to Cybertron, every guy our age was beating off. I was in the theater from Bumblebee. When they had that flash open, Cybertron, I go, and I don't talk in movies because I hate it. I go, yeah! Me and 7 other dudes my age were like, yeah! This is what we were asking for. And we haven't gotten. Oh, and they have to go to Earth in 5 fucking minutes to set up the goddamn Haley Steinfeld relationship. Fuck you.
I will say that your statement about the fact that they each kept getting successively worse is amazing, because the second one, part of the reason it sucked so bad was because this writer's strike was going on, and they ended up having to like piecemeal this movie together because they had to make their date. And if you ever, somewhere online is the actual screenplay of the original movie.
Gozer, calm down.
And if you ever, I mean, it's a long screenplay, but I actually did read the original screenplay for the sequel, and it's so much better. And I really wish they made that movie. It just makes so much more sense. It's so much better. Anyway.
Listen, we didn't come in here to listen to 43-year-old Kevin's piss and moan. 44-year-old fuck, enjoy that. About how Michael Bay came in and made some pretty awful choices in Transformers. So that's why we had Ray to come on and gut
the sacred cow.
Guys, listen, I saw Transformers back in 2007 when it first came out. I got 2 free tickets to it, and thank God I did, because I don't know how I'd keep myself clean afterwards. I felt so strongly about this movie that I went home and spent the next 2 hours crafting a review to put online, and I didn't always do that. But this thing really touched me in a way that I wasn't expecting to. Being a fan of cartoons, being a fan of animation, being especially a fan of 80s animation, being a fan of Transformers, being a fan of G.I. Joe and that whole extended Hasbro universe, I came into this movie with a lot of hope. I was really hoping that previous Michael Bay installments, The Rock, Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds, I really thought that his entire body
Gone in 60
work,
Seconds is terrible. Don't you lump that in with Con Air and The Rock. I will not allow that on the show.
Excuse me. They're all fucking terrible, Kevin. I'm sorry. I was hoping that his entire body of work leading up to Transformers would not, what they say, like past evidence does not predict future results. I was really hoping that, okay, he figured out how to make a good movie after making all this pile of shit. And then so Transformers came out. I go, look, it's a property you cannot go wrong with. You have giant robots. You have them fighting each other. You have them turning into cars and jets and, I don't know, boom boxes, because that was still a thing in 2007. And there's no possible way you can fuck this up. And not only did he screw the pooch on this, he took it he took it from behind with no lube. Is basically what I'm trying to say. This doggy should be very, very sad. It should bite him and attack him because he has ruined all of our lives, especially those of us of a certain age.
Let's just call that the Detroit quarterback situation for the last 35 years.
Well, up to 2008. Coincidentally enough, Transformers comes out, and suddenly the Lions get a quarterback worth having 2 years later. So I like to say there was a little bit going beyond that. You're trying to catch me with the Lions. I'm not here to talk about the Detroit Lions, good sir. That's enough pain for one day. This Transformers pained me enough. Look, we want to talk about why this movie was flat out garbage. Let's first off talk about the lack of Frank Welker in this movie. It was brought up in the previous point, but you have Frank Welker. He was willing to do the thing, and you said he's too old to play the role. He is Megatron. I wouldn't be surprised if great genius Hall of Fame voice actor Frank Welker could legitimately turn into a Walther P-38 in real life, because he is that character. He embodies that character. But let's talk about the horrific plot of this movie, because what it centers around is that great-great-grandfather of Shia LaBeouf Fantastic. Great job, Shia. He looks confused the whole movie, but I think that's what Michael Bay asked him to do. It was his one note. Can you look more confused? Great, you nailed it, Shia. Let's keep on going. His great-great-grandfather was traveling in the Arctic Circle, and he found this Allspark, and he found Megatron, and he made the greatest discovery that was soon taken over by United States government, because the Allspark has a little power that it can zap any kind of a machine, any kind anywhere, and turn it into a killer robot. That in itself should be good. They put it in it with a cell phone, and they zap the little Nokia cell phone, and it runs around shooting lasers and rockets until they zap it. Fantastic. They keep Megatron on ice this entire time. My question is, if they know that this zap that they did to the Nokia phone works on the Nokia phone and any other Transformers, why don't they have a failsafe in place? They had over 65 years, according to this movie, to create that same failsafe for Megatron when inevitably global warming happens, and that place gets too hot for him not to escape from. No. It gets a little toasty in there. Megatron escapes and all crap goes loose. That's fantastic. How about the fact that they get hacked on Air Force One? Now, this apparently could have been done anywhere. The Transformers decided to hack Air Force One because they wanted a set piece. That's fine, Michael Bay. I understand. Nothing has to make sense. It's a Michael Bay film. But they hack into Air Force One. And what ends up happening, they don't know. The United States government does not know what is going on. Fantastic. Oh, we got hacked. We don't know. Bring in teenagers and show them all the government secrets. That's probably the first thing that John Voight, Secretary of Defense, who I assume is playing the same character he played in Anaconda. I assume he survived that movie, and he ended up becoming Secretary of Defense. John Voight comes on, and he says, let's just bring in a bunch of teenagers and literally put them in the Situation Room and give them unfettered access to all of our computers for a few hours. That's probably a great idea. And what ends up happening from that? This Australian lady she was like 35. We're going to pretend like she's 17. Get out of here. She ends up stealing government data and taking it to goddamn Anthony Anderson's house. No, you can't trust teenagers with sensitive data. Based on the things that we see in the world today, you can't trust adults who spent their life in government with this data. Dear freaking Lord. Okay, not only that, I haven't even brought up the fact that this is one of the most racist and sexist movies that we've, until the next one came out. We had the blatantly sexist robots. Look, you talk about, what was so racist and sexist? First off, Megan Fox being in there proves that it's a sexist movie to begin with. Look, I enjoy looking at Megan Fox. I think many men do. That's fine. But do we need her to be in a glamour shot with the camera focused on her midriff and butt? 95% of the time it's on camera.
And yes, absolutely.
The answer is yes. I was leading that question. You guys hit it for me. The answer is yes, but that means you're making a sexist movie at that point. Not only that, every single time that Megan Fox, and I had to go back and rewatch some scenes, no matter where she's located, indoors, outdoors, in a garage setting, her hair is blowing because they have a fan on her in every single scene that she's in the entire freaking movie. She's indoors. She's at this government facility. You look over, she's standing next to Shia LaBeouf, and what's happening? Flowing hair like Nick Cage in Con Air.
You son of a bitch. I was going to say, did John Woo do cinematography for this film?
No Doves. That's how you know.
I said it too, damn it. The Doves. Fuck you, Ray. You're good. Good for you.
Okay, so let's keep going because you guys are just going to cut me off because you told me to bring X number of points. I brought more than you even put as a maximum.
Go for it.
Let's just keep on going. Let's see. We got Megan Fox. We got some of the dialogue in this movie. We're supposed to feel good. I didn't even talk about the racism before we get there. Let's talk about the racism because we're racist about just about anybody we come across. We have one, Jazz, as the Autobot, who's a nominally an African-American inspired Transformer. So what happens in the first scene? He's shucking and jiving and doing breakdancing moves like he's Michael Jackson doing the windmill in 1985. Absolutely unacceptable, especially in 2007. More unacceptable when I watched it in the year 2020. Get woke, go broke? No. Well, maybe not. Maybe in this case, he didn't go woke and he got paid. I don't know what the counter argument to this is, but I did not enjoy seeing that at all. And then to find out that he went further, he said, that's actually not racist enough. And in the future movies, he just decided to go full flat out for it. Not just that, we have the racism against people in the Middle East. And our military, he hates everybody. The people in the Middle East, our military, which is completely incompetent, I'll do that one next. They go to the Middle East. They find in the middle of a desert where there is absolutely nothing to be seen for miles. They find a burned out husk of a village. They got goats running around. And everybody's impressed by these Americans. They say, oh, we're scared of you, but come into our village so you can destroy it. And he makes the centerpiece of a whole point of all of these Middle Eastern folks running away at the first sign of trouble, grabbing their goats and taking a hit for the hills. And quite frankly, I would have loved to see anybody. I mean, to be fair, Michael Bay, in your world in 2007, I assume you were going to portray them as terrorists. Instead, you just portrayed them as cowards. And to me, somehow that made it worse. That made it worse. Nobody willing to defend their hometown from this scorpion monster. You got to have
Scorponok, the big Transformer city. Remember him? That was him.
Call it fucking piece of shit. That's what we'll call it. Scorpion piece of shit comes into that town and absolutely destroys it as all of its inhabitants run away because they need the big, powerful, strong U.S. military to protect them. Problem. The U.S. military in this movie is goddamn incompetent. You thought the government officials bringing teenagers into the Situation Room were incompetent. These guys lose every single battle that they take part in the entire movie. And when they're not running away, they're losing. And that's a problem when you're trying to make propaganda like Michael Bay will make, because this is the same guy who made Pearl Harbor and Armageddon, which arguably tried to make our militaries look good. Here he said, what if the military is just garbage and incompetent the entire time? Opening scene of the movie, best scene of the movie, is when they're fighting the Transformer at the Army base. But what does anybody in the military do? They pull out their gun, they take 2 little pew-pew shots, and then everybody runs away. Everybody runs away as their base is destroyed. Nobody tries to get in one of those planes to fly. Nobody tries to get in. Look, I've seen enough G.I. Joe that when you attack the base, everybody's supposed to jump into a vehicle and try to take out the big thing that's coming in. Here, no, not at all. And not just that, they show up and they just take over. They completely take over the operation.
One thing, Tyrese did have the wherewithal while facing down the cannon from an alien invader to take a picture of it.
He did. Yeah. No, that was a highlight of cinema. I really believed he was in real peril in that moment too. No, he really sold it like Bill Murray in Ghostbusters sold that peril. What I'm trying to say is,
dare you?
Oh, I love Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. Don't get me wrong. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way. Tyrese, you found the wrong way. God bless you though. You made up for it with Too Fast, Too Furious. So
no, he didn't. That film's
we ain't hungry no more.
Oh God.
So not just the racism, not just the sexism, not just the hatred of the military that happens. Because even in the Fuzzy, we talk about the bad plot. We talk about some of the bad dialogue. I'm supposed to enjoy Shia LaBeouf. I'm supposed to see him as the everyman. He's my ticket into this universe, is to look at this guy who nobody likes, who has exceptionally nerdy friends and interests. And he's got a air freshener hanging from his car that says biatch with a picture of a bee on it. And he's talking bros before hoes with his best friend. And I'm supposed to believe Megan Fox is suddenly going to fall head over heels for this incel who thinks Chads and Stacys are a real goddamn fucking thing. Stop it. Stop it right now. I'm okay if you want to do Megan Fox butt shots till the cows come home. I'm fine if you want to put an industrial-sized fan on her in every single location that she travels to. But to have one car ride conversation with a guy who's got a biatch air freshener, and for me to actually believe deep down that this not particularly unaverage-looking guy is going to win her over with his incel wit, I don't goddamn think so. But further on in the plot, okay?
He's probably coming on as a male feminist and trying to play that angle.
He didn't, though. Biatch is hanging from his freaking air freshener.
Fair point.
That came with the car.
Yeah, that was the work of Bernie Mac and his cousin. That wasn't Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, that was more of the racism I was talking about earlier.
Mammy. By the way, they had Bernie Mac saying "mammy." Can we? There's some serious undertoned racism that I don't think Michael Bay even picked up on.
Oh, I don't even think it was undertoned. I think all of it was intended because Michael Bay does not give a shit. Michael Bay, he's counting his money, no time to worry about silly things like plot, dialogue, and characters. So going further in the movie, let's just go a little bit forward in the timeline. We get to the part where they're all the Transformers, who are 25-foot tall, giant hulking robots, and they're all hiding in Shia LaBeouf's backyard, and he's trying to prevent his dad from seeing out the window at him, and they're stumbling around like a bunch of drunks at 2:30 a.m. outside CBGB's back in the 80s. Stop it. What I'm trying to say is, do we think these characters are awesome, giant killer robots worthy of our attention, or is this a goddamn clown show? And the answer is a clown show, because we have them tripping over each other. They don't listen. They don't follow directions. They're destroying the entire lawn around them. And meanwhile, Shia LaBeouf said, what is it, Danny Aiello? Looking out the window, and he's just like, don't see anything. There are 5 30-foot monsters in your backyard. Have some perception and awareness of the world around you. It's your yard. Maybe take more than one angle to look. You very clearly heard things going on that were not earthquakes. They were not earthquakes. You don't have to go to the bathtub. You should probably be calling the FBI. Advancing even further, though, Megatron escapes from the Hoover Dam, right? And so here's where we get the plot point, okay? The heroes, armed by the military, who have now taken over the entire operation. We've forgotten about the hackers at this point because, quite frankly, F them. Nobody cares. The heroes in the military and John Turturro, bright spot of the movie. John Turturro's performance is fantastic. Doesn't make any sense, but he was great. They have the Allspark. They know all the Decepticons are coming to rain holy death upon them and everywhere else. They're in an isolated place at the Hoover Dam, and they're in the middle of a desert. So what does the brilliance of Michael Bay say we need? We can't just have a fight in the wilderness where nobody could get hurt, despite the fact that that is what we are surrounded by here in Nevada. No, there's a populated metropolitan area 22 miles from here. I think the wise choice is take the thing that killer robots are willing to destroy everything in their path to get, and let's go to the most densely populated area we could to ensure hundreds of thousands of innocent people are killed. To ensure that hundreds of thousands of people are killed. You could make your stand in a place that you could defend and no one would get hurt, but that doesn't sell tickets. What sells tickets? Innocent death. So if I'm to believe, again, he hates the military. He hates people. He hates everyone. Michael Bay loves money and hates absolutely everyone else. Last couple things I'll talk about, plot points. The whole thing gets set into effect because there's a little microfiche thing put into these old-timey glasses that Shia LaBeouf's great-grandfather had. So he puts them on eBay. And immediately, because apparently every Transformer is completely hooked up to the World Wide Web of 2007 and all of the purchasing websites thereof, they immediately get cued in and then have to go through the internet to find it because they saw a picture of the glasses. Now, keep in mind, according to the plot itself, this particular image was embedded into the glasses too small for anyone to see without huge microscopic equipment. But I'm to believe a blurry picture on eBay of a JPEG is suddenly going to be good enough. I know how pixels work. That's not good enough for how anything works. So how anybody even used these glasses to find anybody was enraging to me.
You're not a fan of Ladies Man 357, I guess.
Wait, actually, Ladies Man 217, that's actually, as a bonus fun fact, Michael Bay's birthday, 217.
Oh,
I would say
wow.
I tried to purchase a canteen off of him, and he stiffed me. Didn't send it at all. So I'm still very angry about that. But the last thing I want to talk about, and the last thing that really just, I'm already feeling kicked in the teeth. This movie, I actually had to pause it last night as I watched it, and god dang, I had to watch it a second time from the first time I watched it 13 years ago. I said we gotta be about done at this point. Like we've hit it. We've hit all the notes. We're probably one battle away from the end of this movie, right? I paused it. It was at 1 hour and 8 minutes into the movie when I decided I was done and ready to take it home, as we would say in the world of professional wrestling. We were not even to the halfway point of the movie yet.
No.
We still had more to come than what had preceded it. And I felt very sad and reached for the bottle to help me get through it. Yes, this is not a movie that I feel should be watched sober under any circumstances whatsoever. But the part that really kicked me in the teeth, and we're in the final battle sequence, and we're in the part that I'm just begging for the hurting to stop. I'm just telling my torturer, I'll tell you what you want to know. Just make this movie stop. God damn it. But no, we get the Allspark start shooting in random directions. Start shooting in random directions because Bumblebee turned it from a city block size into the size of a basketball. How'd he do it? Fuck you. That's how he did it. It starts shooting in all random directions, and this is where our great product placement comes in because they had to pay for the movie somehow. So what did we get? We got a besides the cell phone that we saw earlier, we got, listen, an Xbox 360, what a delight. That was just laying around the street and we plugged it. And we got a goddamn Mountain Dew machine that turned into a transformer. And I remember being in theaters, seeing it for the first time, feeling beaten down by this movie, feeling my brain melting away as if I'm spending an eternity under a hot sun. Like Better Call Saul through the desert this last season. My face is red.
What a great episode that was, too.
It was a wonderful episode. Look, and I felt as chapped as he did after 2 hours of this movie. And when that Mountain Dew machine turned into a killer robot for no good reason and was never addressed again, in the theater, I audibly just out loud said, "Go fuck yourself." I was already done, and that was the last kick in the groin that I needed to get me out the door. Guys, that's my 12-point plan on why I hated the Transformers Michael Bay film.
Oh, fuck, I'm not recording. I'm just kidding. That was great.
Well, don't look now, Ray. There's an irate Mountain Dew machine right behind you.
Well, I could use a drink. It's pretty hot in this California setting.
Yeah, if it was a Code Red Mountain Dew machine, it would transform into an ICP fan.
Well, Insane Clown Posse, not just great entertainers, great wrestlers and great movie makers. I think we could all agree on that.
Sure. Not really. Anyway. Kevin Israel, would you like to go first?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go first and you can take Point Break first.
Okay.
So, first of all, Ray, kudos to you. You did a fantastic job breaking this one down.
Thank you.
You hit many of my points, but I would like to take this. I'm attacking this in things Michael Bay loves. Michael Bay loves hot chicks. We know that for a fact, and he likes to put them on display as much as possible, preferably glistening for no apparent reason and with blowing hair. Megan Fox is hot, and this was, and I don't think Gootee is going to disagree with me. This was at her peak. She was literally.
I wrote down the word zenith in my notes.
Yes. She was at the top of her pyramid, right at that. I mean, literally, as she bent over that Camaro, time said, "This is as hot as you're ever going to be." And I think when you look at her now, we can all agree that she's dropped precipitously. And then, because she wasn't hot enough, he had to cast the hottest hacker in the history. There's not a single person who works in IT that is that attractive. She's obnoxiously hot. She didn't even need to be hot. There was no reason for her. She wasn't a love interest. Nobody ever even mentioned that she's hot. She was just ridiculously hot for no reason. That was just Michael Bay going. There was probably like 5 girls, and most of them were average looking. He's like, you know what? What about that hot one that advertised from? Oh, and by the way, Megan Fox's name in the movie was Michaela because Michael Bay watches porn.
No, the answer is this. And again, another fun fact that didn't make the cut. Michaela Barnes, Michael Bay. That's not
my God.
So that would have been Michael Bay's porn name if he was a female porn star.
If he wanted to go and switch roles, switch teams, you mean?
Yeah. So Michael Bay loves hot chicks. Michael Bay also loves, and I hate to disagree with you, Ray, Michael Bay loves military stuff. And I think that's how he refers to it. I want military stuff in this. What specifically? Everything. Put everything in it and just have it looking really cool. And you know what? Some of the shit did look very cool. The Raptor, first of all, he's like, what is that? It's a Raptor. Put it in the movie. It doesn't really make any. It's called a Raptor. Put it in the movie. Just put it in. Every military shot looked engaging and exciting. Even though, Ray, you're right, they never did anything correctly. They never actually managed to pull anything off. But the scene where they said, was it Bring the Fire or Call in the Rain?
No, Bring the Rain.
Bring the Rain,
right
yes.
Here.
With the 105 shells, which I'm not really sure what that is, but it sounds incredibly impressive. That was awesome. When that plane dipped to the side and just started pounding the ground with whatever those shells were, my little 12 geek head exploded because I thought that was really cool.
I'm going to take a guess that it's a 105 millimeter shell.
Yeah, most likely. And I think they had some kind of explosive mechanism to them. He just loves military stuff. He loves the military. There's a scene in Bad Boys 2 at the very end when Marcus Burnett realizes that his sister has been kidnapped, and he and Mike Lowry are consoling each other. The door opens up, and these 9 badass dudes walk in. They go, "Apparently you don't know about us ex-Delta guys." It's like, what does that even mean? He just loves the military. He doesn't know anything about the military. He just knows they're awesome, and he's going to make them as awesome as possible. And this whole movie was every time. I think he just watched all these scenes get filmed, like when they launched all those jets, whatever those jets were, F-15s or whatever they were. I think he was just jerking off the entire time, going, "This is it. This is exactly what I want." So yeah, Michael Bay loves military stuff. Michael Bay loves, and Ray hit this on the head, racism and stereotypes. I don't think Michael Bay has ever seen a stereotype and thought, "I'm not going to put that in a movie." He's literally covered every racist stereotype possibly. Latino people, they only speak Spanish. But what if everybody around them speaks English? Fuck it, they're Latino. They speak Spanish. Fat people eat donuts. All of the donuts. Why? Because they're fat. Shut up. Computer nerds live with their parents and they're virgins because they're nerds and they're virgins.
That's true, though.
Japanese people know the way of the samurai. They all do. Every single Japanese person, because that's what a Japanese person does. Middle Eastern people all work in call centers and are all annoying because Michael Bay once had a bad call with a call center and decided that's what all Middle Eastern people must be doing. He loves stereotypes and racism. And black people are all rappers. I think he just thinks all black people are rappers or dancers. So yeah, stereotypes. Michael Bay likes to make the point that the government is bad. And how is government people are bad? Because they drive in black SUVs, wear dark suits, and they talk down to you. That's what the government is. The U.S. government, broken down by Michael Bay, dark SUVs, dark suits, sunglasses. That's all you need to know. And Michael Bay has never understood comedy. Michael Bay doesn't have any grasp on the concept of comedy. He doesn't understand timing or placement or irony. And the funny thing is, so much of this is ironic accidentally. The blown which I said earlier, the blown transformer. I guarantee you, he's like, "That's hysterical. The audience is gonna cry when they say that." No, we didn't.
Can I add to that really quick? Because there were a couple of lines in here that I didn't get to in my original points.
Please.
That just go to your point about he doesn't understand comedy. Hey, Shia LaBeouf, what if your mom asks you if you were masturbating when you were doing something totally innocent? That's a hilarious, awkward moment, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense in the moment or with these characters on any level. How about the little girl asking the Transformer, "Are you the Tooth Fairy? Are you the Tooth Fairy?" That's
Thank
magic.
you for pointing that out. That's a great one.
That is absolutely goddamn magical, and and more than me. There's more than meets the eye with you. Look, we've mentioned it before, but fuck off. You put that as a line 3 goddamn times in this movie. I don't mean to co-opt your point.
No, please,
I thought that those needed reference.
Please, I appreciate it. And then I'm sorry that you liked John Turturro's character. I hated John Turturro's character. It was just so over the edge. And what really bothered me is they had this guy from S7 who was the he's been in a ton of stuff. He had the Southern accent, and he was the guy that appears and says, "I think you're going to want to hear what I have to say." He was like serious, and it's like, oh shit, those are badasses. But then you see John Turturro, who's also S7, wearing S7 underoos and being an idiot. And it's like, what is this agency? Who are they? And how did that guy hire this guy? How did he stay? Does he have a pension that he's trying to earn or something? Like that, I hated John Turturro in this movie because he embodied all the terrible comedy that Michael Bay was like, we need funny in this. And in almost every Transformers movie, there's this out of place, awkwardly over the top, stupid funny character that just doesn't work in the movie.
I will disagree with you only in this. John Turturro, obviously considerably more talented than the role that he was given in this movie. Sure. And oftentimes when this happens, and one of my favorite examples of this is Jeremy Irons in the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah, you saw that?
I saw that in theaters, good sir. Are you kidding me right now?
I saw it.
I left the basement to see that one. So what happens is you have a ridiculously over-the-top talented performer being given dog shit in a movie that, quite frankly, can be seen as dog shit. And that actor says, you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm going to overact my goddamn balls off, and I'm going to have fun every single day on this shoot because no one is going to tell me to tone it down at any point because they know as soon as they do, I'm going to turn and say, I'm goddamn John Turturro. Who are you?
So and you're trying to tell me what they did. They pulled from the Frank Langella Skeletor playbook and Tommy Lee Jones Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face playbook.
Yes.
It's the same book, and I appreciate it every time I see it. To me, it was a bright spot on a dark piece of history, that being the 2 hours, 23 minutes I was watching Transformers. Darkest time in American history as far as I'm concerned. But John Turturro is a beaming bright light of complete bullshit in a mound of bullshit, and I appreciated him for it.
All right, I'm going to try to finish these up quick. I went Kevin Gootee on this one and just took so many notes, and I'm not even going to cover most of them. But just a couple things. Look, my biggest problem with this movie, and it was my problem from the time I saw it, was they had to make the Transformers designed so they could actually transform into trucks. They did that. They engineered that, and I give them a lot of credit. But what they ended up with was these things looked like metal spaghetti strapped together in a humanoid shape, battling with each other. The fight scenes made no sense. They were hard to follow. You didn't know what was a fist or a head or a foot. And that's why in the cartoon, they just looked like big blocks, and it made sense. Megatron was gray and purple. Optimus Prime was red and blue. You knew who was who. You got it. And they did it better in Bumblebee in that opening scene where you saw them. They actually looked more like those robots. And that was a huge, huge, huge problem with this movie. And the future movies just got worse. Wiki is probably the worst character name since Papadopoulos in the 1990s Godzilla. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's right next to Bernie Mac's Bobby Bolivia in this one, who just sounds like a pimp. That's insanity.
I'm really happy for Bobby Bolivia, though, because every July 1st he gets a check for just over $1 million from the New York Mets.
Hey-o! Nice.
And my other big problem with this movie, and I'm going to end on this one, even though I have so much more, I didn't give a single fuck about anything that was happening with the humans in this movie. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest problem. And actually, in my research, they said when they were writing it and they rewrote it, they specifically wanted to go from a human angle because they thought the audience was going to be able to relate more. Nobody goes to see a movie about transforming robots because they want to relate to it. They want to see cool shit. And I would say 80% of this movie was humans. Obnoxious humans. I hated Sam's family. I would rather spend 5 months with my family than 2 hours with Sam's family. His father was a piece of shit. His father drove him through a Porsche dealership and then said, nope, we're going to Bobby Bolivia to get you a piece of shit. That guy should have been kicked in the dick and set on fire.
I admire that because, like, you can't. Listen, you're a 16 little shitbag. You think you're getting a fucking Porsche? No, that's not life. That's not what happens. You need to earn.
But there was no reason to do it. It wasn't like he got in the car and was like, "Well, Dad, let's go get me that Porsche." He got in the car and was clearly willing to get anything. And his dad drove to a Porsche dealership because he was an asshole. Anyway,
I got to care about
that. That's fair.
But all of that said, and as much as I tore this movie apart, I saw this movie in the theater, and when Optimus Prime first transformed, every man in the theater stood up and clapped.
Yes.
It was a really emotional moment.
Yes.
I stood up. I don't remember who I was dating at the time, but I heard her go, seriously? And I was like, we can break up right now because this is more important than anything that's going to come of this relationship. There were some great moments in this movie. It was a mess. It's Michael Bay just jerking off Michael Bay, who's getting fucked by Michael Bay, who's sucking off Michael Bay. It's a human centipede of Michael Bay. But I still have a fondness for this movie. I haven't seen it in a while all the way through. It didn't hold up as well as I wanted it to, mostly because society now is maybe overly sensitive to everything. But there was still something about it that like got to my heart, and I can't say that I hate it. I don't love it as much as I thought I was going to, but I mean, and compared to the rest of the trilogy or the rest of the series,
quintilogy.
Yeah, right. It's head and shoulders above it. So for me, this movie will always be a 6.
Okay. These notes brought to you by guttingthesacredcow.com, where you too can get a cool shirt like Kevin Israel is wearing, a cool shirt like I'm holding up right now, hats, mugs, tote bags, you name it. Guttingthesacredcow.com has it all, and then some. I feel like Ace Ventura is about to do the... and then just go out rapid fire. Don't like the cube. It's the fucking matrix of leadership. We all know they came from a spaceship from Cybertron and crashed into a mountain, not the fucking bat signal. What happened to the Transformers sound effects? You know, the sound effect I have on my phone right now when someone texts me. Why couldn't they use that transforming sound effect, for the love of Christ?
They used it once.
I know they did.
The very beginning when the helicopter transformed.
Yep.
Its first part of its transformation made that noise, and then they never used it again.
Thank you very much, and I was immediately angered. As I said before, this is Megan Fox at her zenith. Let's break this one down. I'm surprised you two didn't pick up on this one. Shia LaBeouf. He must give one hell of a blowjob. I'm going to explain why. If he got his teacher to change his grade from a B- to an A- like that, how fast did he suck that dude off? I've never had a teacher offer to give me a full grade bump without offering him or her a bump. How do you go from a B- to an A- without sucking dick? That's the question I pose to all of you. Whatever happened to that hot Australian hacker? Did Margot Robbie have her killed off to get all the hot blonde Aussie roles out there? I've never seen her again. And what a shame. She's a smoke show.
Smoking hot.
Mm-hmm.
Shia LaBeouf, again, making his buddy get out of the car so he can give Megan Fox a ride is a complete douchebag fucking move.
And by the way, Camaros have back seats.
Unless it's a Vegas 9.5 and it's Megan Fox and Oxenfree, Kevin, get the fuck out of my car. I'm sorry. I am going to give Margot Robbie and Ellie Redzikowski a ride, and I'm going to leave you by the side of Route 66. Sorry, pal. I'll call you a new.
Well, don't worry. I'm going to climb a tree and hang from it for no reason. So
the boom box on Air Force One that wasn't Soundwave, bullshit. I wonder if you ever drop military jargon like when Tyrese said, bring the rain, to someone who's actually in the military. Do you catch an assault rifle butt in your mouth? Name me a film that you did not want to punch Anthony Anderson square in the mouth, except for Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh, that's the only one. Yep, you got it. You got it.
Thank you. If you didn't get shivers up your fucking butthole when the Autobots landed, especially Optimus Prime, your heart is blacker than Wesley Snipes' penis. Wasn't it nostalgic to see those cars that Pontiac paid a shitload of money to feature for, but haven't seen on the road since? Good investment, Pontiac. Isn't it also funny how people willingly gave up their phones 15 years ago to a complete stranger to make a phone call? You think someone's going to hand over their iPhone right now, especially when it's loaded with questionable selfies of genitalia? No, not happening. No one, and I repeat, no one, takes an asparagus stinky piss on source material like Steven Spielberg. See Ready Player One and all Transformers films.
Oof.
Ray, you just took a big exhalation and leaned backward because you know I'm speaking fucking Bible truth.
It's gospel.
How the shit did they not make Megatron a gun? That was the coolest transformation of everyone. Second was Shockwave. I don't fucking care. Aerial bots, Dinobots, you can fight over third and fourth. That was the coolest, and he's not a fucking gun. The final scene in the battle scene in the city drags. As a lot of final battles do in all of Michael Bay films. See Bad Boys 2. Killed the only black Transformer, Jazz. I bet the social justice warriors have a fucking problem with that one.
They didn't just kill him, they tore him in half.
And ripped him apart.
Well, to be fair, who voiced him in the cartoon and cartoon film? Scatman Crothers.
That's right.
Oh, shit.
So he was black in the cartoon. I have no problem with that. I have a problem, though, in the sequel where it's pretty much a bunch of Jamaicans trying to Bob Marley it up. And that and Jar Jar Binks are the two most egregious episodes we have in the last year. That being said,
oh boy,
this is enjoyable, yet insanely flawed. But I can't stand the insane disregard for source material. Sheila Buff plays a moron well. Is it acting? Probably not, but you know what? He did what he's supposed to do. He's that lefty who gets out the one lefty bat, or the lefty reliever who gets out the one lefty batter. You did your job, good. Now get the fuck out and go to the showers. John Turturro is hilarious. I disagree. John Turturro does great comedy. If you have not seen the film, I've said before to you, Kevin Israel, Brain Donors, amazing. Ray, give that a googs. This plays on a ton of nostalgia for me. I can separate it. My brother and I, this is our favorite cartoon in the fucking history of mankind. G.I. Joe a close second, but this is numero uno. I like this film. I fucking hate every single one of those sequels more than I hate walking into in a public toilet and finding single-ply toilet paper, or someone's house who still has single-ply toilet paper. You cheap bastards. I'm never coming to your house again. I give this film a 6.5. Does it pass the remote test? At times. Not if it comes on the cable in the next 3 to 6 months, will I watch it? No. Next year if it's on, sure. If I catch it where they all land on Earth, that is as good as porn to me, because that makes me to mess it. And how do you not? Two films, no matter where I am and what the scene I always catch them are, will always get me a tear in my eye. 3 films, excuse me. The end of Field of Dreams, where he has a catch with his dad. The flowers dying in E.T., and then when he's come back to life, like a bitch. And actually 4. Optimus Prime dying in the cartoon. Optimus Prime arriving on Earth. 4 scenes that'll guarantee make me just gotta go. Oh yeah, and number 5 in was it Toy Story, when they all go away, when they give the toys away. 6.5. I like this film. I admit it is full of flaws. Kevin Israel, this just might be my Independence Day as it is for you, but I like it. I see why people hate it, and I sure shit will not defend the sequels. The sequels do not qualify for our show. That being said, very good job, Ray.
My favorite thing is when the sequel came out, and I didn't go opening night. I let it go for a little bit and then came back to it. And I was reading, I talked to people of very mediocre film opinion, because I figured those are the best people to talk to about these kinds of movies. You don't want to talk to people who are too smart. You only want to talk to people who are too dumb. And I talked to those people, and I said, well, how is the sequel to Transformers? And when they looked at me square in the eyes, and they said, it's not as good as the first one, I knew immediately I never had to see another Transformers movie as life would live. And I would like to give a little addendum to your earlier statement, Kevin. Yes. You asked what happened to the hot Australian actress. She is still with us. Her name is Rachel Taylor. And obviously you've not been watching the Marvel comic book Netflix series, because she plays Jessica Jones's hot best friend on the Jessica Jones TV show. So that is where you could enjoy her more currently in that Marvel Netflix universe. Her name is Trish Walker on that show, and she is a delight. And I just wanted to put it out there. If you wanted to know what happened to her, she found a home at Netflix.
I'd like to also know, does she have anything on thefappening.com? That's what I really want to know.
No, and more importantly, she's not as hot as she was.
Oh.
Still looks good, though.
She's still very attractive.
Yeah.
But whatever Michael Bay did to her for this movie, it threw her up at least 2 or 3 points.
I think it was the nose ring. I think it was only the nose ring.
I think he Shang Tsung Mortal Kombat her soul right out of her after Transformers 1. Your soul is mine. Well, this is all fine and well, but let's listen to those douchebag snob.
Wait, Kev,
patch house. What?
You forgot a major part. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
We're not done. What? Go ahead. What I didn't forget anything, but go ahead. I'll let you.
Did he gut?
That's not till the end. You get me more. That's the very end. We go over that.
We always do that right after the reviews.
We do that. Well, you didn't get to the reviews yet.
No, right after our reviews. But go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I like how you're going to tell me how to operate my show.
I broke the show. I did it.
Critics 5-star reviews. Transformers gives you pretty much exactly what you want from a summer movie. It's big, it's loud, and boy howdy is it dumb. But it's unquestionably fun. Transformers is the best action movie I've seen since The Matrix.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
It is a teenage boy's wet dream. The girls are insanely hot. The lead is awkward / funny. And the action sequences are top-notch. Caddyshack reference. When it's on, God, I copy and paste. I don't edit for grammar. When it's on, it's fun, exciting, and epic. And when it's off, it's flat, unfunny, and painful. That was a 5-star review, just saying.
Wow.
Critics.
Painful. Not often seen in a 5-star review.
Critics.
Not often a word used.
1-star reviews. I challenge you to name another movie about an alien robot come to save the world while disguised as a yellow Camaro. Isn't it just an intergalactic Herbie the Love Bug?
Oh.
Come to think of it, I was pretty stupid when I was 6 years old. So is this film. By that report, I think he's insinuating that Transformers as a whole, including the cartoon, sucks. And I say, let's get the pitchforks and tiki torches to this asshole's house post-haste. Punishingly boring. Next review.
It's fair.
To be honest, it's easy to forgive a lot in this movie because the 12-year-old in me is absolutely in love with all the jaw-dropping transformations. It would have been more rewarding if the adult in me had something to enjoy as well. And a woman with a stick in her ass, not a movie, just a gigantic commercial for Hasbro. You idiot. That's how these toys come about. Does she not understand capitalism? Oh, it's a cash grab. No shit. So's writing for your dopey online article that no one fucking reads. Amazon 5-star reviews. I will admit that I was more than a little skeptical when I saw the early trailers for this movie. When I was a kid, I never saw the quote-unquote point of the Transformers toys. I figured that somebody was pretty desperate to try and make a movie out of the concept. Well, as has happened previously in my life, I was wrong. With top-notch talent such as Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Jesus.
Pausing for effect. The Hasbro toy line is transformed, literally, onto the big screen quite nicely. And the plot is actually much more gratifying than I would have expected. It's a well-done film and has a top-notch cast. 3 times someone's dropped top-notch in a fucking review. For me, Megan Fox stole the show. She's certainly not hard on the eyes, but hard between the legs. Right, fellas? Huh?
Whoa.
Waka, waka, waka. Not hard on the eyes and has an overwhelming, mysterious beauty. I swear she is the spitting image of a young Jennifer Connelly, right down to her body gestures. Parentheses, I actually Googled her to see if she could be Jennifer's daughter, but they're not related. Megan has all the subtle acting skills down, and I look forward to seeing much more of her in future flicks.
Jesus.
If people refer to your acting as subtle, that means you're not doing acting.
She does look like a young Jennifer Connelly. Now, if only that they would both recreate the scene in Requiem for a Dream with the ass to ass dildo scene. Well, that was hot. Graphics and storyline, what isn't to like there? Sure as heck beats the cartoons I grew up.
Whoa.
Forgot a preposition. Kids loved it and remained engrossed throughout the entire movie. My only complaint would be, why is there a need for sexualization in every movie these days? Other than if you've been living under a rock and haven't seen this, I definitely recommend it. My son loved it, but I am not impressed with Amazon's 48 hours to finish watching. Ended up having to rent it twice because, life happens and you can't get back to a movie that quick. I'll probably rent from somewhere else next time. Blockbuster.
If you can't watch a 2-hour movie in 48 hours, dude, that's on you.
That's a learning disability. That's not a time problem. My favorite Amazon 5-star review. My son wanted to watch this, so I bought it for him.
5 stars.
I wanted hot water, so I turned on the faucet.
You can't say they're wrong about it.
No, I cannot. Amazon 1-star reviews.
Oh, bless it all.
Yes, it was a great cartoon, and now it's a terrible action movie. This movie sucks. It's not put together well, the characters are shallow, and the plot line struggles to maintain cohesion. And then, all of a sudden, it ends. That's not true. I guess they ran out of money. That's not true. Rent it. Don't buy it. It just doesn't end all of a sudden. It's a long process for this ending to happen. This is like a mass in Latin. It doesn't end for a while, and it's not abruptly. Next one. Mr. LaBeouf makes for painful viewing. Signed, the reviewer for the New York Times. This had to be one of the worst movies I have ever watched. Bad acting, stupid story, no continuity in the storyline, and gratuitous action and violence. This director should be horsewhipped, WIPPED. He'd take a look at the Spider-Man trilogy and learn how to make an action movie with an interesting story and superb acting. P.S. They needed a dancing emo scene to make this better. Signed, Tobey Maguire.
Oh, well, he's got a lot of strong opinions. That makes sense.
That up. Had no clue you could have such inane bathroom humor kids show.
How old do you have to be for that to be true in your own world?
If you plan on watching the original trilogy before you see the 2014 Transformers, I guess they fast-forwarded, save yourself some time and just walk out into traffic. You will see the same movie 1 out of 10 the time.
What do they mean the original trilogy? The movies just continued. It's not like there was 3 and they ended and then they... Anyway.
And my favorite one. This isn't what I expected. Too much robot violence. They should have... They should have made the robots talk with a little more feelings. Signed, Johnny 5 from Short Circuit. Still alive. Kevin Israel, now I'll ask you. Did Ray Stakenas gut the sacred cow?
Yes. I think he did. This also, and I don't want to take anything away from you, Ray, this was a bit of an easy one. This is an incredibly flawed movie, like Kevin said, that for guys like him and me, it just appeals to something that we're desperately holding on to. That said, if they ever make an actual, like, a better Transformers movie that feels like what the first 5 to 10 minutes of Bumblebee felt like, I will forget about this in a hot minute. But for now, this is the best that we got. Michael Bay did enough in the right spots to pull on my heartstrings, but you threw this one an ass whooping, and it's hard to come back from this. So I'm going to give you the gutting belt in my mind.
I agree. He gave the Robert De Niro treatment from Untouchables, where Al Capone banged him on the back of the head at the lunch when he found out there was a rat. This film, I get it. It's got flaws. And I can separate nostalgia most of the time. Kevin is exactly right. A, It hit enough notes for us, commonalities, where I go, you know what? They got some of it right, but they missed a lot of key parts where they were easy finger roll layups that they fucking pissed all over. And B, if they do a reboot, which I think this could be a reboot, and do it right, if they do the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee for an hour, for 120 minutes, I will be there with Kevin Israel, I'm sure, at 12:01 a.m. the night it fucking opens.
100%.
With two of my buddies from home and my brother. Well, all five of us will have a nice few beers beforehand and go in, and we were going to love the shit out of that for 2 hours prior to. It's okay. I agree. Ray did an absolutely fantastic job gutting this puppy. I'll still enjoy it to a degree, but it ain't good. Give me the cartoon version. Give all of us the cartoon movie 10 times out of 10. Ray Stakenas, you've been a jewel, a gem, a scholar, and a gentleman. Where can we find you yet again?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Almighty Ray. That's where I do most of my social media-ing. So if you'd like to talk about pop culture or the Detroit Lions football team, quite frankly, I'm happy to go as hard at that as I did at the movie Transformers today. I have a couple of podcasts you can also check me out on. Most notably, you can sign behind me, Who Would Win? It's the Who Would Win show. You can find it on everywhere that you podcast. Myself and James Gadsey, who did appear the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood episode of this particular show. Him and myself, we have a 3-point Lincoln Douglas style debate where we discuss with counterpoints and rebuttals which superhero or which character from the worlds of comics, sci-fi, movies, video games would win in a fictional fight against each other. So this is where, we have the most recent, did some of the classics. We did RoboCop versus Terminator. We've done, Green Arrow versus Hawkeye, Thanos versus Goku. We hit all of the big ones we could. Kevin, you yourself were on the show as a judge not particularly long ago. We did Wonder Woman versus Deadpool in one of what I consider one of the best episodes of the show we've ever done. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but I'm probably saying that because I'm here. So you can also find me out on my other show if you like old cartoons. I know you guys big Transformers fans. I do a show called Knowing Is Half the Podcast, also available wherever you do your podcasting. And that's where we started off just watching episodes of the original G.I. Joe and watching through all the classic Sunbow, all of the old miniseries, all of the G.I. Joe the movie, and now we're working our way through the Deke era of 90s G.I. Joe, which is terrible, but we also watch a lot of other cartoons from the 80s and 90s and have a lot of great throwbacks to that. We've watched Transformers, we've watched X-Men, Batman, the animated series, but we really like to also watch the Rubik's The Amazing Cubes of the world, or Jason the World Warriors, or the Mr. T one where he's got the van full of gymnasts.
I watched that.
Rhymes.
Yep, I watched that. NBC. Love. Kevin Israel, where can we find you?
KevinIsrael.com. Stand-up comedy is slowly eking back. Each month, I'm having a few shows, so you can check out my website. Check me out on at KevinIsrael_NJ on Twitter and Kevin Israel Comedy on Instagram.
GuttingTheSacredCow.com, as you've heard us say several times. Merch, blogs, postings every day. That's right. Kevin's flashing the shirt. Monday through Friday, new articles. We have a brand new website up, a new design. Yay, us. Throw us some money in the tip jar. Help us keep the lights on, as the kids say in the biz. KevinGoatee.com. Go there for my NFL picks. 3-2 opening weekend, week 1. I don't know when this is going to air, but nonetheless, starting up the season so far, so good, making some money for you guys. And movie reviews. I saw Tenet. Guess what? It sucked. Read why. KevinGoatee.com. And, of course, like I said, Gutting the Sacred Cow podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Give that a looky-loo. If you have not yet done so, a 5-star rating, 2-sentence review on any podcast platform you are on would just be the bee's knees. Ray Stakenas, you have been, again, amazing and a blast. We loved having you on. Thank you so much for joining Gutting the Sacred Cow. Kevin Israel and I thank you. And everybody else, we'll see you next time. Take care.